Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our anniversary party for the 5th birthday of Nottingham UNESCO City of Literature. We've got a really interesting hour lined up for you, I hope, and please stay with us. If you have any questions for Sandy, she'll be answering questions towards the end of this, but we've also got poets and we've got interviews, we've got people talking about libraries, we've got highlights, videos. And before we start, I just want to give a few thank yous, really, to people who've helped us over the last 5 years, but particularly in getting the successful bid in the first place back in December 2015 and going back to the early days of 2014. If you want to know about the history of the bid, Matt, our comms officer, has done an excellent oral history of the bid process, which you can find on the website right now. So I want to thank in particular the people who were on the original board. I think I'm the only one left now, although our treasurer, David Hallett, who I also want to particularly thank, was there from the start. But our original board, my vice chair, Victor Semmons, James Walker from Left Lion, Stephanie Sir from the Playhouse, Stephen Mumford from Nottingham University, Naim Yousaf from Trent University, and Kat Arnold from the City Council, along with Henderson Mullin, Sally Bowden, Paul Fillingham, and our president, Stephen Lowe. Let's not forget also people who helped us with the bid, everybody who's on our collaborative board, including people like Five Leaves Bookshop, our partners, Nottingham City Council, the two universities, and our ambassador, bid ambassador, Shreya Sen-Handley. But most of all, the people who we need to thank for getting ourselves credited as International UNESCO City of Literature are the writers of Nottingham. Yes, the writers of the past, like Byron, Lawrence, Sillitoe, Middleton, but also much more importantly, everybody, every single writer who's been involved in the bid and in giving us the prestige, I guess is the best word, to make this successful bid. And I guess I can't pick out any in particular, but I do want to thank our patrons of the bid, who all got on board right from the start. Panya, Sir Harry Ginogly, Michael Eaton, John Harvey, William Ivory, Vicky McClure, Alison Moore, Henry Normal, and Amanda Whittington. And I'm going to big up our great team later on. That's enough credits for now. What I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about what we're going to do next. We've got loads of exciting guests and performers. To remind you, please use the Q&A function if you have any questions. And it's been great to see lots of chats so far, and thank you for all your lovely messages. But what we've got coming up now is a 2-minute highlights video that Matt's put together of everything we've done in our first 5 years.
Jenny Swan. I'm a fairly recent trustee of the City of Literature, and I'm finding it really exciting to be part of this 5th birthday celebration and finding out so much about the early days. I knew a little bit about it from David Belbin and my friend Pippa Hennessy, who was also involved. But it's been wonderful to see the organisation working from the inside. And today I'm going to be talking to Georgina Wilding. She was appointed as Nottingham's first ever Young Poet Laureate in the year 2017. And she really did wonderful things with the role. She's now the creative director of the Nottingham Poetry Festival. But Georgina, I would like to ask you about how you found the role of poet laureate, young poet laureate, because I know there were two sides to it. On the one hand, there was developing your own writing, and on the other hand, there was rolling up your sleeves and getting other people writing too. So can you expand a little bit about that? How did it help with your own writing first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Jenny. And hello, everyone. If you're all okay on the other side of the screen. Yes, it felt very much like a dual role. I think it changed my writing in that I learned how to write to brief more than I had ever done before, which is a totally different thing. It's kind of not about you at all, which is really hard with poetry because, of course, it comes from the heart, but it's for other people. So that was a real learning curve, but one that I really enjoyed and benefits me still to this day. And then I think in terms of developing my personal writing, it allowed me to understand the difference between writing for an audience and writing for myself and writing poems that come from me, which was great to then take into schools and community centres and libraries and teach people as well. I really enjoyed bringing that duality to some of the lessons that we would teach. You know, I would explain that you can do a free write and suddenly a poem might come from that. Or if you want to try and write to a brief, I'm going to say to you now, right, you've got 10 minutes, tell me about your favourite food, go. And people would really run with it. So it was challenging, don't get me wrong, and it was so busy, but I really, really enjoyed it. It was the best 2 years.
Oh, that's so lovely. And you did a fantastic job, and you really helped us to raise our profile and reach people. And I know that you, in a minute, are going to read a poem that we commissioned you to write about our 5th birthday. But I just wanted to ask you, before you go into that, one last question, which was, what do you think you enjoyed most of all about being Young Poet Laureate?
Oh, that is such a difficult question because it feels like there were a million moments of joy. I think the things that really stand out to me on the journey were the opportunities I had to travel and work with poets abroad and start to foster those relationships in the other UNESCO cities of literature. So I got to spend a lot of time in Krakow, which was incredible. And I had my work reviewed there by local journals like Content and by other poets. And hearing how my work translated really made me think about what I was aiming for on the page and whether or not that was working. And also being able to see, for example, in Granada, we met loads of people from all the other cities of literature, and it was a big kind of crowd of people together, so passionate about literature. So I really felt like I was part of something which just really strengthened my idea that words and poetry and literature is just so important for everybody for all different reasons. So I think they were some of my favourite memories, at least.
That's lovely. And someone has just said in chat that you're a fab champion for Nottingham. Yeah. And I couldn't agree more. And on that note, I'm going to hand over to you to read your poem. And thank you so much, Georgina.
Oh, no, thank you for having me. So this poem is a little bit of a mixture of writing to brief and writing from the heart. I wanted to give City of Literature something special and personal. So this is Your Fifth Year. I have known change. It has visited my guest house of a body so often, but rarely does it visit all of us at once with such luggage to unpack as it has done so this year. Time passes with the certainty of change, and on this, your 5th birthday, I'm reminded of our own crossing, of pyjamas stuffed with hot water bottles in Granada, of a visiting prince and princess on the old cobbles of Weekday Cross, of Simborska and ceremonies by the Vistula River, and of the unity you've encouraged, the life rafts you've built. It's only right then that the traditional gift for a 5th anniversary is wood, sturdy and enduring, your work gifting us the logs to tie together on our own. As I drift on my raft of poems and stories, I'm sure I smell the hot dust from the boiler cupboard I would hide in as a child, feel the swift draft clasp around me and drag me out as the door was swung open. I'd like to show that child this version of our life. Let her lean her face in and tell her to pick up the pen. Thank you, and happy birthday, City of Lit.
Thank you, Jenny and Georgina, for your stunning poem. We have loved supporting your laureateship journey, and you're just watching you continuing to flourish in your own unique style and with a big smile. I love it. Good evening, everyone. I'm Sandeep Mahal, and it's a great pleasure to introduce Connor Brown, Youth Advisor to Nottingham City of Literature. Hello, Connor.
You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's fun to be here. It was a great poem that we just heard as well.
Cool. When we talk about our mission of building a better world with words, much of our work has centred on supporting young people. And so we wanted to hear from a young person who we've encountered on that journey and to share with you our ambitions for setting up a new youth advisory board. So first, Connor, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So in terms of writing, it's been weird. I've been writing for 6 years, but it always started off as me going, I don't want to write. I don't write much. And then I went to an after-school club with my friends and then started writing. And from there, I noticed that there was actually so much going on to just get into. So it's been really interesting starting off going, no, writing's not my thing, to now throwing myself into a lot of things that are going on.
That's really cool. And when did you first get involved with City of Literature? What caught your attention?
So with the City of Literature, it was actually, Jim Hall put me into contact with City of Literature and got me into sort of a few different opportunities when he sort of launched the collection with sort of Cleo and Ty Healy, people like that. And then actually working on the Big City Reads event as well, which was a lot, because it was sort of an email of going, here's an opportunity, and you go, yeah, sure. And then seeing how big of a project it actually was.
Yeah, I'm really pleased that Jim put you in touch with that. Thanks, Jim, if you're here. What was the best moment of your experience during the Big City Reads? You've already mentioned just the scale of it was huge, but is there a special memory that you'd like to share with us?
So it was, because coming into it, I sort of knew a few people that would be there. And then as soon as I arrived on the day, it was instantly everyone just working together, even though a lot of people hadn't met each other. So it was really nice to just settle into it and be able to work with everyone really easily. And then the actual authors that we had were amazing as well.
And did you learn anything special about City of Literature, given that was your sort of first encounter with us?
So it was it was weird because it was one of those things of, I knew we were a city of literature because I remember seeing it all on the news when it was happening and then going, okay, that's pretty good. But then Jim introduced me, made me realize how much the city of literature actually did. So it was quite sort of surprising going, I've been writing for this long and somehow haven't seen all of the work that's been happening.
So it's really great that we did the Big City Reads because we discovered you, and it's that engagement with you and with our young volunteers and with our young City of Literature ambassadors and the young contributors to our Speak Up and Letters of Solidarity anthologies. That's given us an insight into how young people see the world, and I believe it's from that energized and informed space that we can grow critical young thinkers interested in the world around them, and crucially young people who find joy in both the written and spoken word. We're continuing to put young people at the heart of everything we do, and we've launched a call for young people aged 16 to 25 to join our Youth Advisory Board as a way for young people to meet and share ideas and try and instigate positive change and exciting ideas within Nottingham City of Literature. What are your hopes and dreams for the Youth Advisory Board? What are you most looking forward to doing?
So it's definitely going to be sort of getting projects up and running for young people to do. There's been a lot of times where there's been projects sort of going on in school, but they've sort of been planned by people that aren't really the ones that are going to be experiencing it, and they're not sure about what it actually needs. So I feel as though having more young people in the decision-making process will be able to just sort of tailor those little bits towards young people and actually have them feel more represented.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's exactly what it's about. It's through kind of your voice and the voices of other young people that we're going to hear these fresh new perspectives. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I think it will also help us to remain relevant, but also help us to listen and support young people better, support their creative ambitions and to build their confidence and their skills as well. What would you say to anyone who is thinking of applying to join the board?
Just to present themselves in a way that's just them. Don't think, okay, what do they want to see on an application? Just show that you're passionate about just writing and making a difference. And that's all that you'll need to do, because then the words will display that anyway. Because when I sort of did my application, I wasn't thinking, okay, let me list off everything I've done. I just sort of went, this is me on a page. Hopefully they like that.
And I'm really pleased you did that. And if anybody who's here knows of anyone that might be interested in our Youth Advisory Board, listen to Connor and get them to submit their application. All the details are on our website. Finally, Connor, before you have to leave, I'd love to hear the books or the writers or poets that you'd like to recommend. What should we all be reading over the festive holidays?
So I tend to read sort of more towards manga and graphic novels. So anything sort of related to, I mean, as you can see, Marvel behind me, anything related to that is fine. I'll accept DC. And then in terms of poetry, read your local poets. Jim Hall, we've got Chris McLaughlin as well, who's amazing. You've got people like Miller Tebbs, just any of the local poets that are amazing.
Thank you, and big up to all the local poets. That's really wonderful. Thank you so much for joining our celebrations, Connor. And if you have any questions for Connor, do pop them into the Q&A and we'll pick those up later. And next, we're delighted to have Trevor Wright reading an extract from Sanctuary Connection Inspiration, Hopes for New Libraries.
Hi, thanks Sandy, and hey up to everybody out there in Zoomland. I'm just going to read a short extract from my commissioned article about the new library, which is called Sanctuary Connection and Inspiration. Books for me in the late 60s were limited, partly by cash, but also by kind of low family expectations. Somehow I managed to pass the 11 plus and was taught English by Nottingham author Stanley Middleton. Stan kept a stash of paper books in his locked cupboard, things like Stan Bairstow and Alan Silito, which if he thought you were interested, he would lend to you. And that triggered an interest in things outside the school curriculum. So I badgered my mum to get me enrolled in the Bull Library, where we lived at the time. And that led me to different genres like nature writing and political biographies, and the investigative journalism of the Harold Evans era Sunday Times. So somehow I scraped an English lit O-level, but not much else before leaving school. But eventually managed to gain a degree in social work qualification. Again, relying on libraries heavily to provide key text. So wherever I've been, there's always been a library to join. And that subtle warming smell, the quiet corner marshalled by some librarian's heavy shush, and rows of books inviting you to take a slow shuffle around the wider world, before that agonising realisation that you've stashed more books under your arm than you're allowed to take out. Libraries now are different, of course, as are people's expectations of them. But we still need safe and inspiring spaces, whether that's digital or physical, and spaces that connect us up to each other and the wider world. And there's always a need for stories to help us recognise and make sense of our experiences, more so now with our heightened sense of COVID isolation. And this is particularly the case for othered groups and communities. And I hope that the new library design involves a strong element of co-production, particularly with disabled people, to deliver safe, flexible and accessible processes and spaces. So, 50 years after my first introduction to libraries, I was fortunate enough to stand in the new Bulwell Riverside Library, reading poems from my first collection, supporting Henry Norman as part of the Nottingham Poetry Festival. Who'd have thought that back in 1969? So I hope that the new library can deliver similar levels of sanctuary, connection and inspiration for future generations. Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. That is really lovely. Really nice to hear your work, and really, really lovely to get to see into your past and future with libraries. So I've got a few questions for you. My first question is, obviously your essay touches on the ways that libraries have changed and the way that they need to change in the future. So my question is, do you think libraries are still relevant to modern society?
I think they are. Unfortunately, there's less of them. They're open less hours. The new ones seem to be smaller, so there's less stock. And they can have very brash lighting for those of us that kind of struggle with those things. But I still think they're relevant, and there's a lot of things that they've done around internet uses. There are lots of groups I know that where there's space still manage to meet in libraries. I know in some libraries there's poetry sessions, obviously, but there's also kind of refugee groups. There's the free internet uses that you get in libraries. I think there's lots of ways in that libraries in the future can provide a service, and I think COVID has probably taught us something about that. Because for some people, there were probably a godsend being able to access things digitally. So, yeah, I think so, and hope so as well.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, especially about that need for accessibility. And on that, I mean, you do mention in your full essay, which you can find on our website if you're interested in reading the full thing, you mentioned that need for accessibility when creating new spaces, new events and new projects. So I wondered if you could tell us a little bit about some of the projects that you support that promote this ethos of accessibility.
In terms of spaces like the library, I think design standards these days are good for physical access for disabled people, but less so for kind of the less sensory friendly, and the processes that we put people through are probably less disabled friendly than they could be. But the answer to that, to me, is get a group of people together and actually ask them what they want. So two of the things that I've been doing in the last couple of years, one is a Nottingham-based group called the Social Model Writers that I can see from the names in chat. We've got some of the social model writers with us today. And that group was kind of set up because of the lack of access to writing opportunities for disabled people, but also to provide peer support to each other. So I think we've gone from strength to strength, and several of the social model writers are now published poets in the main. But we've also managed to do a few performances, one of which was in the current Nottingham City Library. But we also did a video recently, an hour's video of members' poems for International Disabled Day, which I think City of Literature did put out for us. And then together with Writing East Midlands, I was complaining at a WEM meeting a few years ago, not about WEM, just about the arts in general again, and access for disabled people. So Henderson Mullins said, well, give us an idea then. So I came up with this idea for doing writing workshops with autistic people who can be very isolated. So after about 3 attempts, and Henderson and WEM stuck with us, we managed to get some small-scale funding to run 4 creative writing workshops that start in January. 2 for under 18s and 2 for adults, and 2 of those will be in Nottinghamshire. So those start the week of January the 5th. So it's nice to be able to do these kind of projects that have that ethos.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. Really, really cool. And you're right in that these things should be led by the people who benefit from them, I think. So I think that's a really important thing for us to stress. And it's very obvious from your essay and from the work you do that reading and writing are really important to you. How, in particular, would you say that reading and writing has changed or enriched your life as a writer and performer?
Oh, Lordy, it's like that Elizabeth Browning poem, is it? How do I love thee? Let me count the ways. I mean, everything from when I was young and to kind of somebody who didn't quite fit in, and reading was a sanctuary. And I used to spend what money I had on books and music from Selector Disc in Nottingham. Those people that remember that. So I'd be kind of up in my room with some vinyl on and a book from the library. And happy as Larry, thank you very much. So reading's done massive things and helped me get through kind of education and become qualified in later life. And I wouldn't have got to the point where I can kind of think poems, if that's a bit of a crude way of putting it, without all the reading that I've done over the years, and all that discovery of nature and political biographies and all manner of different things, like Robert Macfarlane, for example. Or the biography I always remember is the one of Nye Bevan by Michael Foote, which was 2 massive volumes that I waded through, but told you so much about the world. And then lastly, when my daughter was born, reading to somebody else I really like. And so reading things like The Gruffalo, obviously, and all those Julia Donaldson books about the whale and the snail, and things about hearing McCleary down at the dairy. I think I enjoyed reading them more than she enjoyed listening to them at times. And sometimes it was me that wanted to read rather than her that wanted to listen. So yeah, so many ways that reading can help, I think.
That's wonderful. Really lovely to hear. And I think you're right. Reading is just such a joy and a window on the world. So I'm really, really glad we got the chance to talk to you about your reading journey and about libraries in general. So thank you, Trevor. That's fab. And if you'd like to read Trevor's essay, it is on our website, and I'm sure that Matt has dropped it in the chat if he hasn't already. So I'm going to pass you back over now to Sandeep, who's going to give us some more lovely birthday treats.
Thank you, Leanne, and to Trevor for a powerful piece about libraries as places of sanctuary and why they're still relevant and important for upholding the concept of equality and accessibility, and for reminding me why I love what I do. And I'm loving all the love in the City of Literature birthday chat. It's making me very proud of our city. Just bear with me while I just share my screen. I have a couple of slides I want to share with you. Here we go. And I think we're there. Super. So as part of our 5th birthday celebrations, we commissioned 6 writers, and you can find all their beautiful pieces on our website. Thanks to Cleo Asbury-Holt, Graham Cavaney, Becky Cullen, Helen Goodbarton, LD Lipinski and Trevor Wright. We've been inspired by all of your pieces and the theme of hope that runs through all of the pieces. As we confront the devastating fallout of COVID-19, we wanted to give you a glimpse into a hope-filled future. A world exclusive, you saw it here first, a sneak peek into the new Central Library. How thrilling was that? We have so much to look forward to. As most of you will know, I am a vocal champion of libraries, so you can imagine how excited and proud I am to be supporting Nottingham City Council's plans to build a more modern and attractive and dynamic central library. Please do share your impressions, your hopes and dreams for the new library in the chat. And let's just acknowledge for a moment that building a new central library against a backdrop of continued austerity and devastating financial impact, There's no doubt it's going to be a massive challenge, but it's also a massive opportunity to think about the future library and the kind of spaces and services people want, as Trevor was saying. As you can see from that fly-through clip, what makes the Central Library uniquely different is that the design prioritises the young. And the programme will be a fusion of digital and the traditional, an inspiring learning and creative environment, and a catalyst for encouraging literacy initiatives and collaborations with Nottingham's writers and poets. And all of that is going to help increase access to creative writing and reading opportunities for children and young people. Now back to my sharing the screen. Bear with me a sec. Here we are. So what of the next 5 years? Well, there's a very big job to be done with the library. And in a time of great disconnect between people, ensuring Nottingham City of Literature continues to play an active and inspirational role for vulnerable young people in Nottingham is a key priority for us. We will continue to build our community outreach role and the stories we want to see in the world by playing our part in responding to the climate emergency, in combating racism, social injustice and discrimination. And we're going to do that through the power of literature as a reflection of humanity and as a way for everyone to better understand each other and the world we live in. We must remember that the UNESCO designation comes with a huge responsibility to commit to and invest in culture and creativity as a way of delivering impact and benefit to the audiences we are here to serve: children and young people, university students, academics, teachers, librarians, booksellers, curators, publishers, writers and poets, our creative community and our cultural partners. We recognise the importance of representing the diversity of Nottingham in the work that we do. And we're really, really proud of our fantastic young City of Literature ambassadors. And I just want to take a moment to give special thanks to our young ambassadors for the role that they have played in building a better world with words. We have Andrew and Ava, Amel, Joseph, Mary, Danica, Asreen, Autumn, Georgia, Zoe, Chelsea, Jesvita, Emma and Abigail. They've been on the most extraordinary journey. They have all been mentored and supported by writers. They have received lots of training. They've co-created a range of opportunities and taken part in lots of activities, from interviewing writers for publication to setting up their own literary festivals in schools and fiercely debating the books they wanted the entire city to read as part of the Big City Reads mass reading campaign and the excellent Big City Readers Day that brought the young readers and authors together for inspiring conversations. With support from our funders, Arts Council England, we are going to build on this work and continue to embed youth voices like Connor's through our Youth Advisory Board and our young trustees and the new cohort of Young City of Literature ambassadors we hope to announce in 2021. They're all integral to the positive changes we want to create and the many diverse voices we want to discover, support and showcase, because they reflect our shifting world. They need to be seen and heard. Our commissioned writers have supported young people this year, Pania Banjoko, Eve Makis and Ione Smallhorn, as part of our Letters of Solidarity project. This was about helping young people process and make sense of the strangest of years. Those thoughts are expressed in the form of letters of solidarity, handwritten and typed, and every letter has been read with care, attention and love. And we look forward to launching the anthology in partnership with Nottingham Castle to coincide with the excitement of the castle reopening next year. There are far too many initiatives and partnerships to mention in the minute that I've got left. So I'm just going to highlight three thrilling collaborations that I'm looking forward to next year, including our very own version of Oprah's Book Club in partnership with Nottingham Trent University and Notts TV. Story Valley is a 3-year international partnership with Edinburgh, Ljubljana and Leeuwarden Cities of Literature, which aims to celebrate sanctuary and the stories of migrant and refugee young people. And we will continue our programme of events, including the annual UNESCO lecture and a celebration of novels that have shaped the world, focusing on women in power, politics and protest. And as ever, we will continue to advocate the importance of international collaboration, dialogue and creative partnerships. And we hope to inspire many more exciting artistic projects and international exchanges. So we've got our running shoes on and we need all of you alongside us. It's much easier to be brave when we are working together to help build a better world with words. So now if I can invite all the panelists to switch on their cameras and join me for the Q&A. I do have a question from Lucy Phillips. So are we all back? And I'm going into gallery mode so I can see everybody on the screen. Brilliant. So we've got a question from Lucy. What have been the top 3 highlights over the past 5 years? And I'm going to go over to Matt, given that he put that amazing video together. Choose 3 through the highlights from those amazing achievements, Matt.
Oh, that's impossible. I think that if I have to, Georgina Wilding, getting a young poet laureate and just seeing the impact and energy that she had and how she represented so well, that's definitely a highlight. Number 2 was finding out a new library was happening while my wife was actually giving birth. The actual news broke, and I remember thinking, it's got to be for children. And I think Notwich as well, just where we gathered together all the other cities of literature in Nottingham and just said, look what we got. And I see John Kenyon's here today, actually, who's from Iowa City. It just made me extremely proud. I've lived here all my life. So to be able to say to all these people from all around the world, we're great, brilliant. So, and the whole thing's been wonderful. I won't pick favourites.
Thank you, Matt. Georgina, can we go to you? You mentioned Granada, you mentioned Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Any other highlights that you'd like to pick out from the last 5 years?
So many. Turning on the Christmas lights in Market Square. That was an incredible evening full of lots of Nottingham anecdotes that me and Matt will share with everyone sometime. I got the opportunity to go to Jaipur in India, with thanks to everybody in the City of Lit team who helped me get there, which was massive for me because at the age of 17, before I even knew I wanted to write poetry, I knew I wanted to go to India and I knew there was so much there for me to learn about. So fast forward kind of 10, 11 years to get the opportunity to go because of poetry and see the literature festival there and see again how much literature can do for all of us was just so inspiring. I was crying on the very first day there because I just couldn't believe it. There's so much to talk about. Lots of community work, which has been great, seeing all the different people, different libraries and schools and community centres all respond to workshops and writing and sending pieces in. It's just been such a pleasure, and I hope that it never, ever stops.
Thank you, Georgie. David, can I ask you, what are you most looking forward to over the next 5 years?
Oh, there's a good question. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to working with our Youth Advisory Board. I'm really looking forward, as we head towards this horrible Brexit thing, to still being able to connect with countries and cities all around the world to show that we are an international city. And I'm just looking forward to the new City Library and our being based there, because that was the one thing that we had in our original bid that we didn't manage to accomplish in our first 3 years, never mind 5 years. But we do hope that we'll be there in a year's time. And that video was just so exciting, wasn't it? Best children's library in the country. That's something to aim for.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. Connor's very popular in the Q&A. Connor, I have a question here from Deanna El-Khoury. She said, as a Youth Advisory Board member, what key themes and what key social issues would you like to explore through the projects that you helped set up?
So for me, definitely mental health. It's a huge part of what makes me write, and I know that it helps a lot of people. So it's sort of exploring poetry and writing as a sort of therapy for how to cope with mental health.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely key. Given everything that's gone on this year, there are a lot of complex mental health and wellbeing challenges that young people are facing. So to find a way through reading and poetry and creative writing to combat that is going to be really important. And Ashley had a similar question. So Ashley Kerr asked whether you'd like to start any particular projects, any projects you have in mind for the future. You've mentioned poetry. Anything specific?
So there's a few different projects, sort of linking to the library some earlier. The library did a great project called Story Smash, which was amazing, but due to all of the things going on in the world, had to be stopped. So definitely looking at bringing that back will be probably my main project.
Great, that's brilliant. Jenny, what are you most looking forward to over the next 5 years?
Well, it's interesting, this word sanctuary that's been coming up this evening in connection with books and with the new library. And I just love feeling that I'm part of a city that is looking through literature, through words, and through its new library aimed at young people and children in particular, that it's going to present a different kind of world to the world that has felt rather sort of depressingly dominant this year. So I'm just looking forward to doing what I can to help those flowers to bloom.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. We really appreciate what you bring as a trustee to City of Literature. Trevor, I want to ask you, having seen that sneak glimpse of the new Central Library, your first impressions?
Oh, probably the same as everybody else in chat. I mean, it looks really exciting, and I can't wait really to be able to jump on the tram and actually physically go in there. That'd be fantastic. It looks good, yeah.
And Leanne, what about you? What are you most looking forward to over the next 5 years?
Oh, goodness. I think I'm most looking forward to sort of meeting the challenges of the world head on. I think that's something that we have done really well this year, in a year that has had more than its fair share of challenges. And I think that it's something that we have done successfully over the course of the 5 years that we've been here. So I feel like we're sort of this David and Goliath, where we're a little David getting ready to go to the next battle to support young people and to support building a better world with words. And I'm sort of saying, bring it on, let's do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Brilliant. Well, I'm just going to share two highlights, not which was absolutely extraordinary, just seeing the world come to Nottingham, but also doing it in the way that we did, which really is at the heart of our values, which is in collaboration with another City of Literature, was really special. And the young ambassadors at the Heritage Learning Symposium we hosted in November last year, they came along and they listened to all the heritage curators, the learning professionals, and they presented a manifesto to help the heritage sector to attract more young people. And it was really powerful because they talked about wanting heritage to tell the truth of all sides, all backgrounds, all perspectives. Inclusive history is what they called it. How can we share our future if we don't learn what went right and what went wrong? And it was almost like a call to action, our lives, our history. And it was really powerful. So we definitely want to be doing a lot more of empowering young people's voices to have a say and giving them agency in our creative programs. We have time for, I think, one more question. Here we got a question from Nick Owen. What advice would you give to a new organisation that was looking to set up in 2021? Wow. Well, David, I'm going to come to you, given you set up City of Literature, and I'll have a little ponder on that.
Right. Well, be as inclusive as possible, and also, make sure that everybody who steps forward and joins the board, as ours did, actually plays a part in it and plays a big role in what they're doing. Don't have any passengers and expect total commitment from people. But be positive, be positive. There's a lot of things that need to be changed in this world, and it's best to be part of the change.
I'd absolutely agree with all of that, and to say that I guess there's something about everything that's happened this year. It's given people the opportunity to slow down and sometimes stop and reflect and think more about their organisations and the programmes and how they can be more representative and more relevant to the communities and audiences they serve. And I think partnerships this year has given us a fantastic opportunity to collaborate with other UNESCO cities of literature. We've embraced digital technology. We innovated at such a fast pace to programme a series of virtual author events with fantastic, brilliant partners, Five Leaves Bookshop. Hello, I hope you're here. And yeah, I think partnerships are absolutely key, Nick. So it's really important that we continue to join up and work together to bring the city up and to help rebuild and repair and renew as we come through the other side of COVID. So it's 5 to 7. I think that's all we've got time for. And before I hand back to David to say a few closing words and top up with more fears, I just want to say a big thank you to everybody that's been involved in our journey and for coming to this one-off unique event and celebrating with us. Over to David.
Thank you, Sandy. And I'd like to raise a glass to you and to everybody who's been on the panel today. It's my partner, Sue, who's just brought us in.
Cheers.
Cheers. And, oh, that's nice. Okay, it's been great. And don't go just yet. We've got some little birthday messages to play at the end too. I want to say a few more thank yous. I want to say thank you to Alex at MakerMet for organising all of this. Brilliant job you've done today, Alex. I'd like to thank Pippa and Bromley House Library, where it all began, and I forgot to mention them earlier. We're still hoping to be back for board meetings at Bromley House sometime next year. And I really want to thank them. I know Sandy's thanked them already. Our partners, the City Council, the 2 universities, and Arts Council England, who've been absolutely wonderful throughout the bidding process and supporting our first 5 years. Most of all, I want to thank our brilliant team. I want to thank Sandy. I want to thank Leanne. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Ruby. I want to thank everybody who's worked for us in the last 5 years. I want to thank all of our brilliant volunteers. I must just pick out John Baird, who's done so much great writing for the website, but everybody who's written for the website, some of you have seen mentioned today, do read the oral history that appeared today and have a look at all the other wonderful 5th birthday stuff that we've got up. I think that's everything except to thank you for coming, to wish you all a really, really good Christmas, and over to the highlights video. Cheers, everybody. Congratulations.
Cheers. Happy birthday, Nottingham City of Literature. Thank you for promoting Nottingham's amazing and radical literary heritage in so many different ways, and for your work with schools, with libraries and the communities, and with projects such as your Life in Lockdown series, your virtual author events, the publishing of Speak Up, highlighting young, diverse voices, your poetry programs, your Letter of Solidarity series. I'm so proud to be your patron, and I look forward to celebrating many, many more birthdays with you in the future. Thank you.
Hello, Nottingham City of Literature related people. I just wanted to share in wishing City of Literature happy 5th birthday and say that I am an absolute privileged to serve as a trustee on this board for the simple reason that I find reading transformative and amazing and a benefit to everyone in life. It teaches us so much, brings us respite. I've always loved reading since I was very young, and I actually remember when I first made sense of those black marks on a white page. So I just wanted to extend my birthday greetings and to say that I'm also a donor because I want to bring books into the city, and I totally believe that we are building a better world with words. Thank you, everybody.
Hi, it's Becky Cullen. I'd like to wish Nottingham UNESCO City of Literature a really fantastic 5th birthday. Thanks for all of your hard work and for inspiring us all to build a better world with words. Happy birthday!
Hi, my name is Ruby and I've worked at Nottingham City of Literature over the past year as part of the Creative Pathways graduate scheme, and I've loved every minute of it. The work the team does to produce powerful reading and writing projects is invaluable in helping so many to discover the joy of creativity. I've worked behind the scenes on a bunch of events and projects, and one that really stands out to me is the My Voice Creative Writing Competition. I got to read every single entry, and I cannot express to you the passion that was shown in every submission. Their exceptional stories of social injustice showed us just how talented the young people of Nottingham are and how determined to build a better world with words. Not only does City of Literature produce these projects for residents across Nottingham, they also host a range of placement students and graduate schemes, just like the one that I was part of, which help young people to build their careers in the arts, the cultural and the literature sectors. I would like to personally extend my thanks to Sandy and the whole team for making my time there so fun, welcoming and worthwhile. I hope that the next 5 years bring a whole host of good things for Nottingham City of Literature, like innovative projects, exciting virtual and in-person events, and just more readers and writers in the city. I guess that all that's left to say is happy 5th birthday, and I hope the next 5 are even better.
Well, happy birthday, Nottingham UNESCO City of Literature. You're 5. I've known you since you were 2 and really enjoyed watching you grow up. You've given me a lot, and I want to speak about books, 2 books in particular. One of them's very big. Here it is, The Lost Words by Robert Macfarlane and Jackie Morris. We got it into all of the schools, junior and senior, of city and county with the help of fantastic NUCOL volunteers, and it brought me into contact with the library services and what heroes they are. There were many gifts in kindness, and from Inspire Libraries, a gift in kind, which enabled us to deliver on the promise of delivering that book to all those schools. So thank you very much. And then a smaller book. Here it is, Our Voices, Our Verses. One of the joys that you've brought me over the last 3 years was that anthology launch evening. It included Georgina Wilding, our young poet laureate, and I just loved it, and I go back to the book and I read those poems. So happy birthday, and here's to the next 5.
Hello, my name's Jenny Swan, and I'm a trustee of Nottingham UNESCO City of Literature. And the first thing I must say is happy birthday to the City of Literature, which is 5 in December. That's marvellous. And I'm so honoured to have been appointed a trustee, because it's a really wonderful organisation that has raised the profile of all sorts of literature on the page and in performance around Nottingham, to a lot of people who might not have come across it otherwise, and some young people who might have thought it was really not about them and was all for someone else, and that they didn't have any particular ownership of it. Well, they do. And that is the whole role of this wonderful organisation, to raise the profile and the importance of literature to all of us in our lives, and to show how the things that we read can just seep into our very being and become part of us and a lifeline in so many ways. So really, I was debating whether to inflict a song of Happy Birthday to You on you. I decided not to. So instead, I don't know if you can see this, but it's a birthday cake. I think the candles will come out with the letters back to front saying happy birthday, but you get the general idea. Happy birthday, Nottingham UNESCO City of Literature, and keep up the brilliant work. Thank you.
I'm very proud of everything we've achieved in our first 5 years as a UNESCO City of Literature, and I really want to thank our wonderful board, our brilliant staff, all of our partners, and everybody who's got involved in our mission, building a better world with words. I'm particularly proud that we've achieved everything in our original bid to become a UNESCO City of Literature, all the projects that we said that we'd do, except for one thing, and that is to be based in a new city library. And I'm very hopeful that we're going to be able to do that in the near future too. So this is the next 5 years.